Alright, hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing 3 games from the Sunday slate of action, week 5 of the 2023 NFL season. So for today's Sunday discussion, we got the Titans versus the Colts, the Ravens versus the Steelers, and the Texans versus the Falcons. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right into the action. Starting with the Tennessee Titans. And surprisingly, I guess I probably should have known this, that's on me, their run defense was ranked number 1 overall, but very clearly after this game against the Colts, their run defense is not the best in the league. Quite simply, the Colts exposed the Titans defense, as they were able to run against Tennessee's statistically dominant defense because they're talented in the backfield, solid along their offensive front, and well, sometimes stats lie. The Titans' average of 2.9 yards per carry allowed looks great on paper, but it does lack context. Look at who the Titans played, which included the Saints, Chargers, and Browns. Those 3 teams played without Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler, and Nick Chubb. The Bengals, meanwhile, were down 3 touchdowns at halftime and ran the ball a total of 18 times. When facing a committed ground attack like they did against the Colts, defense fell short. The next 3 contests won't be much easier either. Hosting Baltimore next weekend. Then the Falcons will be waiting after their bye, and Falcons head coach Arthur Smith knows the Titans as well as anyone. And finally, there's the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, despite the struggles on offense, do have a couple capable backs in Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. Indianapolis Colts. So Anthony Richardson went down of injury again, so now it is up to the running game featuring Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss to carry this Colts offense. So the football gods giveth in terms of returning Jonathan Taylor to the team, and then they take it away with Anthony Richardson. So excitement was built around the Indianapolis Colts this weekend after running back Jonathan Taylor not only got activated from the PUP list, but then also signed a new 3-year, $42 million contract extension. And there was also excitement about seeing Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor play together. Well, that excitement lasted about 2 quarters before Richardson suffered a shoulder injury and didn't return to the contest. According to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, X-rays on Richardson's throw shoulder were negative, but he could still miss some time after clearly being in pain while coming off the field. Now, without Richardson, the Colts should shift to a heavy ground and pound attack, with Taylor being worked in more each week and Zach Moss still getting his carries, because Moss showed out on Sunday. He had 23 carries for 165 yards and 2 scores against a Titans defense that had entered week 1 as the league's number 1 ranked run defense by only allowing 2.9 yards per carry. Gardner Minshew is a capable backup. He made some plays that the Colts captured a victory, but he doesn't have the ability to challenge defenses deep or of his legs like Richardson. Instead, the Colts should play to their strengths and beat their opponents by relying on one of the league's best running back tandems. Houston Texans. So they can trust. So CJ Stroud was faced with an interesting situation, and that was ball in your hand, final minutes of the game. Can you get your team ahead? Yes, he can. So CJ Stroud proved he can be trusted in the final minutes of a game when you gotta get points on the board. And it was also another showcase of why Stroud is a franchise player for the Texans. First, he also showed why he's a franchise player. He now holds the record for the most completions by a rookie quarterback without an interception, and he can be trusted with the ball in his hands in the final minutes of a game, and that's what the Texans did. They trusted him with it, and he led a late game scoring drive that tied the game before the extra point, but unfortunately the defense couldn't get the Falcons out of field goal range. Even in defeat, the Texans offense has a bright future with Stroud under center. Atlanta Falcons. So give credit to Desmond Ridder. He had himself a bounce-back game, but give even more credit to the defense. Not to say one did more than the other, but the defense certainly was a big help, or a huge help in getting the Falcons a win here. Ridder made 3 consecutive clutch throws to set up the Falcons for a game-winning field goal, but the defense again, should get their credit as well. They limited the Texans to field goals in 2 of their 3 red zone trips. Houston kicked its other 2 field goals within 25 yards of the goal line. Atlanta's revamped defense has looked strong out of the gate, ranking 5th in passing yards allowed through 4 weeks and giving up only 1 rushing touchdown for the season. The Falcons spent heavily on their defense this offseason, and so far it has paid off. Baltimore Ravens. So turnovers, usually a bad thing. However, too many turnovers can become an issue and can very much sink your offense. And that is what's happening in Baltimore, is the turnovers are becoming an issue. So when you have a new offensive play caller or a new offensive scheme, there is going to be an adjustment period. There is going to be some time needed to kind of iron out the wrinkles. But struggling to take care of the football, well, that's different, which is a fundamental issue. Also wide receivers dropping passes is another issue, but that can be fixed with a little more concentration. However, the Ravens have been establishing a troubling pattern of giveaways. They've already turned the ball over 8 times, and in 3 out of 5 games, they've committed at least 2 turnovers. While most Ravens critics will point to the change in the offensive scheme, they should be more worried about the turnovers. If the Ravens continue to give the ball away, well, they'll be a mediocre team regardless of their offensive production. Granted, which is not a good thing, because the Cincinnati Bengals might be rounding back into form, and if the Cincinnati Bengals start to go on a run and Baltimore doesn't have those turnovers resolved, that's a problem, because they had been standing tall as the top team in the North, but they could be losing their grip. Pittsburgh Steelers. So they have developed a winning strategy, and that is just relying on their defense to keep the score low so their offense doesn't have to do much of anything. And if you want to be honest about the 2023 Pittsburgh Steelers for a moment, they've underachieved offensively. There was some offseason buzz around quarterback Kenny Pickett, but that buzz has all been evaporated. The defense continues to play a critical role in why the Steelers are 3-2 through 5 weeks. Pittsburgh has only scored 5 offensive touchdowns in as many games, while its defense has reached pay dirt twice and registered a safety against the Ravens on Sunday. No matter how much Steelers fans want to see it, the team is unlikely to fire offensive coordinator Matt Canada anytime soon. So sorry about Steelers fans, and in-season firing doesn't look like it's happening. Assuming Pittsburgh maintains the status quo with its coaching staff, Steelers fans better get comfortable winning low-scoring games in which the defense has to turn in top-notch performances and, basically limit what the offense has to do. Like I said, winning strategy, defense keeps the scoring low, offense doesn't have to do much. That is their plan. How far it gets them, we shall see. My guess, not very far, but who knows? The Steelers have never had a losing season with Mike Tomlin, so at the very least, it could get him a winning season. Does it get him a spot in the postseason? TBD. And with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.